Hi
Joel.
there. I like the background. That's very nice.
Oh, of course. Had to do it up for you. Got all these insects crawling around me. It's freaking me out.
Very nice. Very nice.
Well, Joel, it's a pleasure to speak to you about your new book. And I'm telling you, I've been an animal lover and a kid at heart when it comes to insects and bugs and the animal kingdom. And your books are amazing. So congratulations on an incredible career. And tell us about your new volume dedicated to insects.
Sure. Well, it's 100% thanks to the pandemic. You know, I've been working on the National Geographic Photo Ark for a long time on a grant from National Geographic Society, and we photograph everything from elephants all the way down to minnows, toads, sparrows. I've done a little bit with insects because some zoos have pretty good insect departments, but mostly colorful beetles and butterflies. But then when the pandemic happened and I couldn't travel, I was not able to sleep very well. You know, it was not a fun time at the start. We didn't know what was going to happen. I remember going out to my off my front porch and fetching my newspaper out of the bushes in the front yard in the dark in the morning, turned around and I was walking back in kind of moping, and I looked up and there were these porch lights covered in insects, and they were every color you could imagine, all sizes and shapes. I'm like, holy cow, we have 6 employees that all work on these pictures and caption and keyword and Photoshop out the dirt, and they need something to do too. And I thought, this could be really good. This could be, if they're crawling around in Lincoln, Nebraska, this kind of diversity. So we started just running sheets with bright lights on them at night and using sweep nets during the day in the prairies and so forth. And pretty soon we're at 100, 200 species. Then we go to our cabin in Minnesota, pick up another 50, a friend's empty guest house out in Santa Fe, wherever I could drive to, and in a day. And we ended up with like 1,000 species. And so that's where this book came from, is just necessity to keep working. And insects are so important that I'm really glad that I stopped and paid attention to them, to be honest with you. They're amazing.
I would say people don't realize that they outnumber us like 100 billion trillion to 1, but they're vital to the survival of Earth, of all things on Earth. I mean, if we wouldn't
Absolutely. be around. You're exactly right. Without insects, we couldn't survive. I mean, they bring us our fruits and vegetables through pollination, but they also clean up the entire planet. Every dead animal, including us, every bit of a lot of the leaf litter that hits the forest floor or just leaves in your yard, they're constantly churning the soil up, allowing the soil to breathe. They are prey animal. They're prey animals for birds. If you like birds, you better like insects, because birds feed their chicks. Insects. Without good insects, birds can't thrive. So we're all tied in, and we're so dependent on them, and we don't give them the time of day. We just think of them as pests, and it's not right. And I'm not a big fan of the cockroaches that get into my house once in a while, you know, but spiders are so intricate and so complicated when you think about it. And they're not out to do us harm. I mean, they're just trying to make a living like all of us. I photographed 1 million spiders, and not 1 million, but I photographed a lot of spiders and wasps and bees, and I never got bitten or stung by anything. We put them in a little containment tent. We let them go again as soon as the shoot's over with, back into the night sky or wherever they flew in from. And they're just remarkable, and they're worth saving. I mean, not just because humanity would end without them, but they're just cool.
You know, I agree with you, Joel. If I see a spider or any kind of thing like that, I take it outside. I'm very respectful, but a cockroach is not going to make it. I'm sorry. So
no, same for me, man. If it's an invasive German cockroach.
And not only that, you know, it must be the challenge of the lifetime for you as a photographer, because, you know, photographing an elephant or a whale, I mean, they're right there. I mean, when you shoot insects, though, you have to have special lenses. You have to get extremely close. I mean, what kind of challenge is that?
Yeah. Well, I would have if we're setting up out in the field, then we have a tent, a shooting tent, like a cloth tent. Light can go through it, but the insects can't get out. The shoot states take a few minutes each. We photograph them on a white background and a black one, with a portable generator to run the lights. If I was working around home and I could get back to home, we'd crank the air conditioning down in the studio of mine where I'm sitting. In a colder room, they don't move around as much, although wasps and ants never stop moving. Yeah. But the lights are very fast. The burst on these lights is far less than 1,000th of a second, freezes motion. So they could wander around inside this white room or black room, whatever they found themselves in. And then it was okay. We just have to use these macro lens and tele extenders. is not exactly fun. I mean, praying mantis, great. Beetles, fine. You know, they don't move around. They're big, easy to photograph, but a lot of them weren't fun, but a lot of the moths just hold still and they're amazing looking. And I found a couple in Omaha, Nebraska that have long been retired and they were eager. They're really into insects. They identified everything for us. They were really good at crowdsourcing stuff that they didn't know what it was. And so, yeah, we came through it, and I'm a little ashamed of myself that I didn't start doing insects heavily early on because they're so important, but I got to it eventually. And it will be a while before I do large scale trapping of insects again. I can tell you that. I have a lot of other species to get: birds, mammals, amphibians, reptiles, fish. But I have great respect for insects now. I think other people should too. And so, I wanted to mention too, this business about pouring poison all over our lawns, that's got to stop. That's just not healthy for anybody. And it's planting native plants, nectar-bearing plants to bring native insects back. We really need to do that in the suburbs. That would be a big help.
Absolutely. And, when you photograph these insects so close, I mean, nothing looks more alien than these insects, don't they? And do you have to, if you photograph thousands of insects and over thousands of animal species, did you have a favorite insect that you liked because after you saw it look like photographed?
Yeah, the insects behind you were pretty fun. Those are oblong-winged katydids, which are pretty common. Every few thousand eggs, they hatch out in a color other than green, and those are seen by birds and eaten immediately. But the Audubon Insectarium, part of the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans, they bred those just to get all these color variants. It's fascinating. But in this book, it's probably the rainbow grasshoppers. I photographed mating, a male and female together, in the Nebraska Sandhills, which is a beautiful, pristine place. And they stayed together during the entire shoot. That was fascinating and amazing. I wanted to mention something also. You're in Vegas, right? You're in Las Vegas area.
Mm-hmm.
There's a city that knows how to conserve water. They have to. But native vegetation in lawns, that's the thing you guys do. And you're going to do more of it. And that's something that all of us have to adapt, really, if we want to try to save insects and really keep the planet whole. Native vegetation, nectar-bearing plants, things that are right for your climate. It's far more interesting than just a sterile green lawn that takes a lot of water and a lot of chemicals. So I applaud you, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Thank you. Awesome. Oh, no, we lead the nation in water conservation. We don't even use our allotment from the Colorado River. We've outlawed grass. The water district pays you to put in desert landscaping. When I go to other states and they give me a glass of water when I don't ask for it, I get upset, So we are very, very water conscious here. And I'm glad you mentioned that because we're really proud of that. But we started that decades ago.
Yeah. And really, you have a lot to teach the rest of the nation. You totally do, because you guys have been playing your A game as long as it's been necessary, but it's been far longer than everywhere else. So
and finally, Joel, I applaud you too, because important to pass along conservation to the next generation. I mean, what kid doesn't like animals or bugs? So this project, how have you encouraged children with this project?
Well, insects are what I started out on. My brother called me a bug catching veg until college. I think he still mentions it once in a while. I had a bug catcher and I would study them and let them go again. And they're just fascinating. They're a great entree into the world of conservation. I think if you can get people interested in insects, they'll care about everything else, the bigger stuff, the stuff that actually most people have watched on National Geographic's channel, the elephants, the gorillas, all that. I think the insects can give us a really good foundation to becoming good stewards of the earth through our whole lives. And we can do it right in our own backyards, in the suburbs. We can all do this. It's not a chore. It's really enjoyable, interesting. It makes your neighborhood smell good. It makes your water cleaner. It just teaches you that it's not all about who won the ball game and politics. It's much bigger than us. And it's just a great, easy, inexpensive way to get young people into nature at a time when we're living more and more in urban areas. So no downside to it, to getting interested in insects, as far as I can tell.
Well, congratulations on your latest book, Ark Insects, from National Geographic is one of my all-time favorite organizations. Been following it since yeah, of course, And where can we find your book? It comes out April 4th, right? So Amazon, wherever books are sold.
Well, available wherever books are sold. If people want signed copies, they can come to my website, and joelsartore.com. And maybe more importantly, there's a frequently asked question page there that leads off with what can we do to make the planet better? Real simple things, cheap things that we all can do. Right there, joelsartore.com.
Excellent. Joel, thank you so much for joining me. Let's see you in Las Vegas soon, man. We'd love to have you.
All right. Thanks a bunch.